So hello everybody.
Hello everyone, we are back.
Yes, welcome back to Talks to Chip. This is episode 27. And for both episode 27 and 28, we're going to concentrate on one very important female composer.
Delia Derbyshire.
Yes, she's very important, has become a very, very important character. Not just because she's female, because she's British, but also because she has this sort of like weird kind of crossover function, doesn't she?
Yeah. What do you mean with the weird kind of crossover function?
Well, in that she's as well known in... she's in some ways she's more known in popular culture than she is in kind of classical electronic music culture.
That's true. I guess that's owing to Doctor Who.
It's owing to Doctor Who and everything that came along after that. I think also a big part of it is this thing with this band she had, White Noise, which was with David Vorhaus and Brian Hodgson.
Yeah, Brian Hodgson. Shortly after she passed away, her partner's first thing to do was to take her remaining works, materials to him, in a way, for BBC Radiophonic Workshop. I mean, you are right. Yeah, thanks for explaining that. It's a crossover of a number of things in popular culture, but for electronic music history, there is a particular importance in the context of BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
Exactly.
We did refer to that when we were talking about Daphne Oram.
Yes.
For whom we also dedicated two episodes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. There's a very nice interview I found with Delia Derbyshire from '97, which was only like 4 years before she died. She died in 2001.
Yeah.
She was born in 1937, died in 2001, so she was only 64 when she died.
Yeah.
So this interview she did with BBC Radio Scotland, and it's up on YouTube, like all the rest of the links. We'll put the links with all the information with this episode. But it's a long and quite in-depth interview, and it's quite touching, really. And it's quite interesting that she really makes a point that when she got the job at the Radiophonic Workshop after working at the BBC for 2 years, and she was making the point at her interview that she was from a music background, that she was a composer, and she was told, quote unquote, the BBC does not employ composers.
Yeah, that's how actually the story begins in a way.
Yeah.
Female composers. I mean, before that also there is her experience with this big record label, Decca Records.
Yeah.
And when she wanted to work with them in the studio, the response was, "We don't employ female people here."
It seems. I mean, I'm laughing. It seems so ludicrous to us now, but this is only 70 years ago.
Yeah.
65 years ago, and it seems like another world, doesn't it?
Yeah, in a way it does. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's the legacies of all that sexism, and especially in more conservative settings, like maybe in universities or the BBC or whatever. The legacies of it are constantly there.
Then she goes to BBC, and then the same kind of responses. However, then she ends up having like a assistance and managerial role later on. So it's the journey of composers through different opportunities and institutions.
Yeah.
But like in popular culture and etc. One of the things that when you refer to the popular aspect of it, indeed, one of the things I found out about her is she was not very happy with the mainstream kind of commercial music production. Rather, her because even after her years in the Radiophonic Workshop, despite all the problems of recognition or being under-recognized, she still had some kind of stardom, or at least as a freelance person she got
She was recognised,
but the expectation was more towards commercial things, and she was frustrated, and then.
Well, this is one of the weird things, isn't it, about the British electronic music, was that, you know, so because British electronic music was centred so much around the Radiophonic Workshop, but the Radiophonic Workshop was set up not to be about music. It was about text and about soundtracks for drama.
Yeah.
So it had a kind of weird approach to it right from the beginning. And what they ended up doing was either completely text-based sort of like sound collages for productions, or completely cheesy pop music for local radio identification, you know, like idents for Sheffield Radio. And some of this stuff is, you know, is really, really cheesy. And what I find really quite bizarre about it, just in a technical sense, is that to do like the simplest folk tune, which of course they were kind of doing quite a bit with the Radiophonic Workshop, which you would never hear from the VDR studio in Cologne or at the GRM in Paris. But they were doing like little cheesy folk tunes. To do a folk tune with tape editing is much harder work.
Exactly, that's true. So here there are some technical skills and such
amazing technical skills.
When I refer to that freelancing jobs, actually one of the things, you know, she was being recognized for was that sort of thing that not many people were good at, the technical editing skills. And also there was a side of her that basically functions as a pioneer in electronic music composer, because she was involved in the scene. She did go to the Philips Pavilion in the 1958 to see, you know, at Varese, Poem Electronic. She was interacting with those guys, and then that's why one of the things we are talking about today is one of her works, you know, among the many, many other things that got unveiled posthumously. A piece of work today, you know, in this episode we're talking about, is the Delian Mode. The Delian Mode has also been used for a documentary about her, but today we are talking about this particular work. And so this is,
it's interesting. Well, the Delian Mode, already it says a lot about it, is that there's a joke in the title. You know, it's self-deprecating joke, because it sounds like the Dorian Mode. So it sounds like one of, you know, the mainstays of music theory, but she's making a joke out of it with her own name, which again is very English. You know, it's, you wouldn't just imagine like Bernard Parmigiani or Luciano Berio doing a piece based on a joke on their own name. It just wouldn't happen. But especially not Stockhausen.
No, I mean, I'm not sure if Stockhausen was serious or he was sarcastic in some of the things he said. So that's. But here, we can definitely see that sort of.
But Stockhausen. I did meet Karl-Heinz a couple of times before he died, but he
amazing, by the way. This is like, you know, I have to say that, sorry, but like, you know, you're like saying, I met Karl-Heinz before he died. Look at this, people, you know, people who are listening to us. This show is very precious because we've got Jono with us, like someone who talked to these guys before.
Yeah, I'm a connection to the ancient past.
Well, it's not all about the age. Come on, you are actually in yourself. You are a pioneering person in your area. I mean, I'm not biased when I say that. I just wanted to, you know, add that. But yes, Stockhausen himself, you know.
Well, he did. That was the thing. He did have a sense of humour. He did have a sense. He was quite mischievous. Yeah, you
could see this in those lectures, you know.
And in those lectures, yes.
And I did watch all those videos, the London versions, not Darmstadt schools, like. Very interesting personality. You can hear like the unique way he's describing things, but also it's not like overly academic or these abstract people we see today. Like they write these endless articles. Whereas here is someone who was pioneering, and then, you know, you think about a 1 second sound and repeat it like extend it a thousand times, like this kind of language also. So I think also in Delia Derbyshire there is that kind of connection with.
There was,
or with, you know.
And this is the things I find frustrating with the people I know in the popular music world, where I spend most of my time. They treat people like Delia Derbyshire as if she was from a popular music background. But this woman, her knowledge of the technique and the science,
music concrete,
the science, the nuts and bolts of acoustics was really, really profound.
Amazing. Like there's this video of Delia Derbyshire that went viral a couple of years ago on these things. I no longer have these social media applications on my phone, but like back in the day, this BBC, this video is like early 1960s, where actually the presenter is making a definition of electronic music. We will add these to the links. And it's actually a very, very straightforward explanation. This is for people who had never seen or listened to that sort of stuff. And then the video that goes viral follows that, where she's basically showing the process. She's showing the tape part, but also, you know, first she shows, like, she explains the waveforms, sine wave, square wave, etc. But then she says, well, if the sound that we want to generate exists in the nature already, this is what we do. And then she also makes a demonstration of how she makes this groove with all these earliest technology tools. And then when you look into the future, it looks like having the session view of Ableton Live turned into a physical form, because it's like that sort of vertical view where things are clips or sounds are being triggered one by one and then mixed. But she's doing it like this is very manual, very physical, and so that sort of technical enthusiasm and technical competence, and then showing it to public on national TV. So that's.
Well, it's interesting, right? You say enthusiasm, because I mean that word came up. That's a word I had in my notes from this really nice interview from '97. Was that, you know, by 97 she was like 59, 60. No, she was like in her late 50s, and she was struggling. She had health problems, and she was struggling with alcoholism and stuff. But you can hear the enthusiasm in her when she's describing her early work at the radiophonic workshop, and her understanding and her enthusiasm for sound is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. And you can actually hear it in these beats.
I think so.
We are talking about, especially like the first of them, for me is like very let's have immersive work.
Yes, let's have a look at Delian Mode. I mean, it's interesting in that it's very serious. It's a very serious sounding piece of music, and it's very... what's the word? It's kind of somber sounding. So it's really not like a lot of the output from the radiophonic workshop. But at the same time, Desmond Briscoe, who was the head of the radiophonic workshop by the time it closed, referred to it as being without parallel in our output. It's like, this is one of their best pieces. This is the one that was stand up as one of their best pieces.
Have you been able to retrieve the extended version? Apparently she created a version called Labyrinth, by adding a further 2.5 minutes for then making the piece for a total of 8:05. But I have not been able to reach out to her.
I can't find that. But what I did find is the TV show it was used in 1969.
Labyrinth, the extended one?
No. It's Delian Mode as it is, as we have now. Yeah. But it appears in a 1969 Christmas special of a TV show called The Sky at Night. And it's available from the BBC website.
I love Sky at Night. Doesn't it still exist?
It does still exist.
And I get the magazines. There's no commercials or advertising here. Just my very personal. I mean, I can't imagine anything better than the outer space for this stuff.
What was amazing is that her piece is used about 20 minutes into the show. and it's, of course, we'll put the link in the notes. And it's for the soundtrack for an animation that Patrick Moore, who runs the show, had been given from Russia, of a Russian imagination of their missions to Mars. So how Mars would look if the Russians had landed there, with this fantastic piece of music in the background, giving it this wonderful eerie atmosphere, unlike the rest of the show. You know, it's really good. Yes, and it was Christmas Eve, 1969. It was broadcast.
I mean, there is also a version that's been put together that I could find on Discogs by a label called Silver Screen in 2016. However,
it's a 7-inch.
Yeah,
but there is a
remaster.
There was a remastered version from 2018. This is the one to listen to.
Oh yeah.
And we'll put the link because that's also on YouTube. But it was remastered in 2018. It does sound absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and then I think it was this one. Was it this one with the score?
Yes.
Yeah, there's her drawings and the score for it.
Yeah, yes, beautiful.
Another link we should add, obviously, for people to view it. But I can see the kind of like a creative mind, but also there is that sort of an approach where, like, you're spontaneous a bit, but also, I don't want to call it humor, but that sort of thing, maybe not like, I don't know, being down to earth. It's
down to earth and not taking herself too seriously.
Exactly.
Despite her incredible level of skill and all her experience, it doesn't take herself too seriously, which is really quite refreshing, isn't it? You know. I mean, it's a piece of music. I mean, how long is it? It's 6.5 minutes, isn't it?
This is like around this version is currently that long exactly, and then the extended version, which we can't retrieve,
is 8 minutes.
It has like an extra 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think what's really nice about it is I think it's very metallic sounding because she's using a lot of ring modulation.
Yeah, it is. It is also quite mixed to be immersive on top of it's not raw ring modulation, but there's a lot of like
filtering.
I mean, I filtering exactly, and then how ring modulation builds up onto those harmonics, like very dissonant sounds, such that there's been this reference. If I quote it from the main archive, saying like it's pretty much defies description and is all the better for it. You don't want to have to resort to mere words to describe such a perfect sound, utterly deserving the self-definitive title Delia so knowingly gave it, and is a reminiscent of the beginnings of Xenakis Orient Occident.
Yes.
That's sort of like a that sort of reminiscence that Xenakis reference. I think I can understand because of the dissonant harmonics and dark kind of like sounds generated with the ring modulator, but it's also accessible with all the filters and such that I ended up with the Christmas special of
yes, absolutely, to go with the Soviet Union's idea of Mars. I'm just wondering, I don't know whether we've done this in the past, but ring modulation is such an important technique in classic electronic music. Have we ever described what ring modulation is?
Well, we did talk about FM synthesis when we talked about John. Did we do an episode? We did do an episode about John Charney. So, and then there is, amplitude modulation.
Yeah.
Ring modulation is part of. Yeah.
It's part of
but
that.
you have got also this hardware with you now.
Yes. Yeah. Ring modulation is one of my favourite things with electronic music, and because one of the things is I remember when I first started working in studios. You'd have racks and racks of hardware, effects units, and it'd always be like, wow, look at all these things. We can change the sound incredibly. But it was always a bit disappointing because if you put reverb and chorus and flanging and whatever on, or even filtering or phasers on sound, it would still be that sound. It wouldn't be completely changed into something new.
Yeah.
Whereas ring modulation really changes one thing into something else entirely.
I think it's also not just for electronic music. In popular music production,
Yes.
it still found its space, but it's definitely, it has a very unique kind of
unique role
I mean,
in well, I
like
think one of the-
pedals for guitars also. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it has such a unique role in classical electronic music is that it was, first of all, it was quite early technology because it's quite simple technology. The reason it's called a ring modulator isn't because it sounds like ringing metal, although it does.
Yeah.
It's because it's a ring of diodes. it's
So it's literally, we are talking about some electricity.
exactly, yes. It's a ring
here.
of diodes, and what happens is that you need two inputs.
Yeah.
One input becomes the carrier, the other one becomes the modulator.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that the frequencies of the two inputs, what you get out from the ring modulator is the sum of the two frequencies and the difference between them.
So that's the very unique process compared to additive and frequency modulation synthesis.
Exactly.
Because in the additive synthesis, yes, you can get the sum, but not like the way how they, not the difference or how they modulate each other, as in FM. And in FM, you don't get the sum of them. You basically get a process between them. So.
Yes.
That's a unique. I think that's a very good way to explain.
And one of the things is that because it's a purely mathematical function, it's not a function that happens in nature. So all the sounds
very abstract in a way.
Yeah, very abstract. So all the sounds you get from what you get from a ring modulator is sounds that literally wouldn't occur that way in nature.
Yeah, I think
that makes it very, very special.
I think I'm so happy and thankful that you were talking about all this, and I've just noted down a term you just used. You know, when you said the importance of ring modulation in classical electronic music. So I like the term classical electronic music at the moment because when it comes to these elements and effects, or the music we are talking about, people refer to it as experimental electronic, experimental. Well, it is. This experimentation is at the center of music history. When you look into Western art music, it comes and happens. But however, you can't just call it experimental. So I think it's important to use this label in a way. Yeah. But also, we sometimes talked about these effects and like how like some of the techniques shape the sound, and when this doesn't exist, in nature, and there is the abstract aspect of it, then still there is something that resonates in us when you listen to it. How do you explain that?
It's interesting, isn't it? Something that doesn't happen in nature and something that we've never been exposed to still carries an emotional impact. And it is quite fascinating, isn't it? That our kind of ears and our minds and are open to all sorts of input, and we will attach to them something something emotional. I mean, I think with ring modulation, because the harmonics you get from a ring modulated signal are not the harmonics you would get in a natural sound. So the immediate sort of response is its strangeness is beautiful. There's a beauty in its strangeness.
Yeah.
And of course, telemusic is struck as telemusic. Ring modulation plays a central role in that.
Yeah, the very, very first episode.
Our first episode, yes. So we have actually been over ring modulation.
But or overall in general, like these techniques, I think we talked a lot about filters in the context of Ferreira's episode. Yes. But this in this case with Delia, this is a star now. Yeah. She gets like posthumous recognitions, like awards or renaming of things in like just as recently as the other year in Coventry, her home place, and etc. Yeah. Now, we need to also think about the actual works. They are like classical electronic music or electronic art music, in that
That's another way of saying it. This is the thing, is that all these expressions have arrived over the last few years. So it's like you've got classical electronic music, you've got art music, or electronic, and you've got sonic art.
Sonic arts, although sonic arts extends to something else, but I just wanted to, thank you for bringing classical electronic music into discussion, because I've been facing so many people that keep talking to me. Experimental electronic music, when I simply try to tell them about Edgar Dwarez, who was a classically trained composer. Come on, Like,
Well,
it happens
Edgar,
in
not
the-
only was he a classical trained composer, but
Yes.
he's a real product of the 19th century.
Or like serialists who explored, like my point is, this happens in teaching organizations, and people who teach popular music or who don't study these things. Like it's okay to not know, but you can't just label this as experimental electronic music and then go. There is an experimental side of it.
Yeah.
But sorry, I couldn't help expressing my frustration.
But of course, this
So
one of the
nice
weird
to
things
talk
is
about
is
it,
that
yeah.
as I say, I've spent most of my career working in popular music, and there's as much experimentation.
Exactly. Popular music production. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't escape these things.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to develop yourself in in developing your own voice and learning these things, you can't just define these things as that's experimental because I see this. Yeah. So exactly that's why I have to talk to you, and that's why it is basically it will help with building sound sculpture, and that's why she was also sometimes Delia Derbyshire was referred to as a sculptress of sound. So.
Yes, well, that's another thing. I mean, the idea of with subtractive synthesis and with using filters, that electronic music composers are building the sounds in a very different way to having the sounds made by an instrument, and then you just give them the notes and the durations.
Yes.
You're actually dealing, like I said before, with Delia Derbyshire, was that she had this profound knowledge of the actual acoustic nuts and bolts of sound itself to be able to make it happen.
Well,
I was thinking maybe we should go on and have a look at the next piece.
Next piece, which I think I was going to say exactly we might talk about it in the next one also, but just as an intro, this next piece is also in the same Delian Mode presented together, but this one has more of a different approach with oscillators. So
okay, so let's talk about Blue Veils and Golden Sands in episode 20.
Exactly, which we'll have one more work to talk about also. Yeah.
See you in episode 28, everyone.
See you soon.